Hi, welcome to DVD number 5. DVD number 5 starts mathematics and will include arithmetic and how to use the calculator. Very important. If you look up here, you'll see that DVD number 6 includes algebra and geometry. So you have math part 1 and math part 2. Before I get started with arithmetic, though, I would like to introduce Miguel, who will cover how to use the calculator that's included in your kit.
Hi, I'm Miguel, and for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll be teaching you how to use the official GED calculator. Now, let's get started. There are three important buttons everybody needs to know. The first one is this one. This stands for all clear. Whenever you get done with a math problem and you want to get started on a new one, you hit this before you go on to the new one. This can also be used if you mess up the entire problem on the calculator and you want to start off fresh. So remember this button. Remember this one too. This is the equal symbol and or the equal button. This is needed at the end of almost every math problem you'll ever encounter. The last most important button on here is this. This is called the Backspace button. If you punch in the wrong number on the calculator and you don't want to hit the all clear and you just need to remove one number, just hit Backspace and I'll remove one digit from this thing right here. Alright, let's get started with the basic operations of math here. Alright, we'll be doing addition. To do this on the calculator, what you need to hit first is 2. Then hit the plus symbol, or the addition symbol, which is that right there. Then you hit 4. Then you hit the equal button, which is this right here. And you'll come out with 6. So, it's 2 plus 4 equals 6. Alright, let's get started on the next math problem. Alright, this is subtraction, so it's not much different than our first one. What you'll do first is you'll punch in the 8 on the calculator, then you'll hit the subtraction symbol, which is this thing right here. Then you'll hit 5, and you'll hit the equal button, and you'll come out with 3. So it will be 8 minus 5 equals 3. All right, let's move on. Alright, this is the multiplication symbol. Now, let's get started. 5 times, which is this thing right here. 5, then you hit the equal thing, and you'll get 25. So let's go through this. 5 times 5 equals 25. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Alright, this is division. Now, you may also see it on the test as this. That's also how it will look on the test. So let's do this on the calculator now. What you'll do first is you'll hit 10, or you'll punch in 1 and 0. Then you'll go over here and hit the division symbol button. Then you'll hit the 2, which is 10 divided by 2. And then you'll hit the equal symbol. You'll come up with your answer. So let's go through this one more time. All right. 1, 0 divided by 2, which is this, equals 5. All right? And that's how you do division on this calculator. All right. Let's move on to decimals. Now, you'll encounter these on the GED. So, let's do this here. All right. 5.7. All right, let's do this on the calculator. Now, the decimal button is this thing right here. It looks like a little white dot. What you'll do first is you'll hit 5 decimal 7, and that's what you'll come up with up here. And that's how you input the decimal function on this calculator. All right, let's move on to negative numbers. You will encounter negative numbers on the test. However, you can get problems with negative numbers done faster on the calculator. So let's do negative 7. What you would do first is hit 7, and then you'll hit this button right here. It's a plus symbol with a dash, or a slanted subtraction symbol right there. This button right here is called the convert to addition, or convert to a positive, convert to a negative button. So what you would do is hit 7 and then this button. What you'll come up with will be this on the screen. And so you can continue on with a problem with knowing this function right here. All right, let's move on to fractions. All right. You can put these in the calculator as well. They don't look like this, but it's possible to do this on the calculator. So let me show you how to do this. All right. That button right there is this one right here on the calculator. This right here is called the fraction button, or the mixed number button, because it can also do mixed numbers. So to get this, or an equivalent to this on the calculator, you'll hit 1 fraction button 2. So it's 1 fraction button 2, and what you'll see on the screen should look something like this. It should look like that on the screen, with a little half square in between the 1 and the 2. That is equivalent to that on the calculator. All right, let's move on to a mixed number. can also do this on a calculator in the same way I just showed you with the fraction. Now, the only difference is you're going to be hitting this button twice. So, what you'll be hitting here is 5, fraction button, 1, fraction button, 2. And what will come up on the screen should look like this right here. That is basically equivalent to that. So remember, when you punch that in on the calculator, what it should look like up here is this. All right, let's move on to something else. All right. This is exponents. You can do this on the calculator 2 ways. You could hit the 5 and this button right here. This is basically 5 squared. So you would hit that and you'll come up with the answer right here, which should be 25. Or you can go over here and hit 5 XY button. Basically, it's the same thing, except you have to input the exponent on this. So what you'll do if you want to use this button, you'll have to hit 5 XY 2. And then hit equal. Alright. Now, what happens if you get an exponent higher than 2? Well, you can use the button I just showed you. 7 XY, then you just hit 4 and hit equal, and you should come up with an extremely large number, but you can basically solve anything above 2 exponent wise with this button right here. All right, move on. Now, there is another important button that you should remember to use. The shift button. It is this button right here. It's highlighted right above the button as shift. What this button is used for is when you hit it on the calculator, whatever is above the regular buttons here is what you will be using. So let's say you hit the exponent button. So what you'll do first is hit shift and that little symbol up there is the square root. So what that button will be recognized as after you hit the shift is the square root. Alright, so let's apply this button with another problem. Alright, square root of 4. Now, we'll be doing what I just showed you with the shift button. So, first what we'll hit is 4. Then you'll come over here and hit the shift button. Then you'll hit x squared, which is the exponent button. And what you would come out with is 2. So let's go through that one more time. 4, shift, x squared button, equals 2. Alright? And that's how you do the square root with this calculator. Alright, let's move on to the last thing. We'll be doing percent now. You'll be using the shift function for the percent as well. So, let's find 50 percent of 40 using the calculator. This will be probably the most, it will be the hardest thing you'll have to do with the calculator. Now let's get started with this. What you'll hit first is 40. So you'll type in 40 times 50. So 50. Then you'll hit the shift button. Now the percentage symbol is this right here. It's right above the equal button. So now you hit this, which will be recognized as a percent button. Then you will come out with your answer, which is 20. So let's go through this again. 40 times 50, shift, equal button, and you'll come out with your answer, which should be 20. All right. That concludes the calculator section of this DVD.
Now I'd like to discuss the GED math portion of the test, and in particular what you'll see here on DVD number 5. Please turn to page 389 and follow along with me under Math Topics. The topics listed below should be reviewed in order to accurately answer the mathematical GED sections. See the math review on the following pages. Under the word arithmetic, remember this is 50% of the GED exam on mathematics. 50%, and it is the only portion of the exam where you're allowed to use the Casio FX260 calculator provided in your kit. The arithmetic portion includes integers and real numbers, fractions, decimals, percentages, radicals, exponents, and averages. The algebra and geometry portion will be covered on DVD number 6. Now turn to page 391 and read along with me. Under integers and real numbers, most of the numbers used in algebra belong to a set called the real numbers or reals. This set can be represented graphically by the real number line. Let's take a look. Have a line, goes to infinity to the right and to the infinity to the left. In the middle is 0. To the left are the negative numbers. -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. To the right of 0 are the positive integers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth to infinity. Remember that. Now turn to page 392 and let's discuss absolute value. At the top part of the middle part of the page, look under absolute value and read along with me. The absolute value of a number is represented by two vertical lines around the number and is equal to the given number regardless of sign. So, let's try the absolute value of -8. As I said a few minutes ago, regardless of sign. So the absolute value of -8 is 8, or positive 8. You notice I didn't put a plus sign in front of the 8. It's automatically understood that's a positive integer. By the way, I encourage you to take notes during these next two DVDs covering arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. Now read, what I want you to do is read the rest of page 392, 393, and 394 and attempt to try problems 1, 3, 5, and 9 on pages 394 and 395. So let's try to solve problems 1, 3, 5, and 9 beginning at the bottom of the page on page 394. Number 1, simplify 4 plus a negative 7 plus 2 plus a negative 5. How do we attack this problem? Four plus negative 7 plus 2 plus a negative 5. To simplify this problem, we want to combine like terms, the negatives with the negatives and the positive with the positives. So 4 plus 2 equals 6, and a minus or a negative 7, negative 5, which is negative 12. Therefore, if we combine 6 and negative 12, we get negative 6. And the answer to problem number 1 is A, at the bottom of page 394. Now look on page 395. It says simplify absolute value 4 plus negative 3 plus the absolute value of negative 2. To simplify this one, we combine the values inside the absolute value signs and come up with 1. Absolute value 1 plus absolute value negative 2. Remember now, absolute value of anything is that digit, is that number, regardless of sign. So it would be 1 plus 2, or 3. We simplified it to 3, and that means the answer to number 3 is D. Let's try 5, a little more complex. Simplify 4 plus 17 plus negative 29 plus 13 plus negative 22 plus negative 3. First thing we want to do is combine like terms, the 4, the 17, and the 13, because their sign is the same. And that should come out to 34. Remember, you can use your calculator on this portion of the exam. So I came up with 34, and now I want to combine the negative numbers. Negative 29 and negative 22 would be negative 51. Plus negative 3. 34, negative 51, negative 3 would be 34. Negative 54. Now to combine these two, we simply subtract the 34 from 54 and use the sign of the larger value. In this case, it would be negative 20. So now I look for my answer. For number 5, it would be B, negative 20. Now, before I do number 9, I want to show you something. One of the many rules you'll learn in math. A negative times a negative equals a positive, always. And a negative times a positive equals negative. Now with that in mind, let's try number 9. It says, simplify a negative times negative 4, negative 7, plus a negative 2. So now, using the rule I just taught you, try negative times negative 4 would be a plus 4, or just 4. The plus sign is understood, and a negative times negative 7 would be plus 7, plus a negative 2. That would be 11. Negative 2 would equal 9. Now I look for my answer in the choices, and I find that E is the correct answer to number 9. Now let's talk about fractions. Turn to page 397. First, we have a proper fraction. Proper fraction is where the numerator, A, is less than the denominator. This is the numerator in a fraction, and the bottom number, or the bottom value, is the denominator. In a proper fraction, A over B, A being the numerator, B being the denominator, the top value is less than the bottom value. For example, 2/3. You'll notice the 2, which is the numerator, is smaller than the denominator, 3. In an improper fraction, the numerator is larger than the denominator. Now, what is a mixed number? A mixed number is a whole number combined with a fraction. For example, 5 2/3 is a mixed number. Now, how do we change this mixed number into an improper fraction? Look on the bottom of page 397, 5 2/3. The first thing we want to do is multiply 3 times 5. Plus 2 over 3. Now remember, this dot I've drawn between the 3 and the 5 just means times or multiply. Same as if I drew an X. Means multiply. So let's combine these terms and find out the answer to this problem. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 would be 17 over, and nothing at the bottom or in the denominator, so it would be 17/3. Therefore, 5 2/3 is the same as 17/3. You can see that at the bottom of page 397. Now I want you to read pages 399 and 400. Then I want you to attempt problems 1, 3, and 6 on page 400. All right, let's solve problems 1, 3, and 6 on page 400. Number 1, you need to add and write the answer in simplest form. Number 1, 5 12s plus 3 12s. 5 12s plus 3 12s. You notice they have a common denominator, so all we need to do is add the numerators. 5 plus 3 equals 8 12s. Now we need to reduce that. That's not in its lowest form. So what will go into 8 and 12? 4 will go into 8 2 times, and 4 will go into 12 3 times. Now it's in the simplest form, and the answer to problem number 1 is D, 2/3. Let's try number 3. 131 and 2/15. 131 and 2/15 plus 28 and 3/15. We add the whole numbers and we add the fractions. This gives us 131 plus 28 is 159. So we know it's 159 and something. You notice the denominators are the same again, 15. So all we need to do is add the numerators. The 2 plus the 3 is 5. And we keep the denominator. Now, this is not your answer though. We need to reduce 5/15. So what will go into both the 5 and the 15? 5 will. Therefore, let's work it out. 5 into 5 is 1, and 5 into 15 is 3. Now look for your answer. 159 and 1/3. Choice C for problem 3. Now let's try to subtract fractions with the same denominator. Look on page 400, number 6. 4 and 7/8. Minus 3 and 1/8. Subtract the whole numbers. That gives us 1. And subtract, again, we have the same denominator, so subtract the numerator. 7 minus 1 is 6/8. But that's not our answer. 6/8 can be reduced. It's not in its simplest form yet. So we know it's 1, and what will go into 6 and 8? 2 will go into 6 3 times, and 2 will go into 8 4 times. So my answer should be 1 3/4. Choice B for number 6.